Finding the
Voices talk show by Monica Iguodam.
I'm a huge fan of Finding the Voice.
You're doing a great job for Manipur.
Manipur bu prithivida masatak pa
good positive voices and make those voices more visible.
wanted our voice to reach in all the corners of the world.
Interesting people.
Been finding
voices on
People from our own place.
Share positive stories and inspiring stories and bring out the good stories of Manipur.
Finding the Voices.
Welcome to Finding the Voices. Right now we are at Delhi and we have a special guest speaker, Mr. Khaute Ginlal Chung Vaiphei, originally from Churachandpur and right now an executive officer in Lok Sabha Secretariat in Delhi. Welcome to our show.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here.
So first of all, if you can share a brief introduction about yourself.
Yeah, in fact, I'll introduce myself. Well, I'll start from my father. My father was the eldest among his siblings, and we are basically from Churachandpur. And then there was no Christianity at that time.
Okay.
And then, of course, with the advent of Christianity, there was a Western education. My father, since he was the eldest, he was denied education.
Oh.
And his younger siblings were given education, but my grandparents didn't allow him because he was the first son, the eldest. His name was, required to be used in the rituals.
Okay.
So he could not give his name in the school or in the church.
Oh.
So he was a bit deprived.
Yeah.
But somehow he managed to self-educate him using my uncle's textbooks in the school. So he was a self-made man, and then I am his son. I mean to say that it is God's grace that we got education in spite of the setback suffered by my father.
So before he became a Christian, like what did you follow? What did you follow?
It is like that the traditional religion.
Okay.
Perhaps we may call it the animism.
Okay.
Yeah, they have so many. They also have a concept of God and different gods.
Okay.
And then there was different rituals, sacrifice, and even theories.
Okay.
Yeah, they have their own metaphysics also. I mean to say the theory about God and then theory about paradise.
Okay.
And all this. But thanks to the gospel of Jesus Christ, and like the people change, and then the social fabric also changed, and that is very prominent in my family.
Okay.
Especially in the life of my father.
How so?
In the sense that before, when he was a young lad, perhaps, he was a favorite of the priest in the village because he's got some kind of ability to be accessed with the previous God, in the sense that if somebody is not well, sick in the village, they want to know whether this sick person is caused by which a specific spirit or demon, and they want to know whether this sick person will recover or not.
Okay.
And then my father used to get revelation after some rituals from the priest, and my father used to get revelation in the night, and the next day he used to
he used to
share that one.
Then how did he change, and how did he?
Yeah, eventually as he grows up, he was quite rational. His belief in the traditional religion and the practice of rituals became not very convincing to him. So, and when he was grown, he could take his own decision about for his own life. So he started switching on to the other religion, and at that time, my grandparents didn't have much say over his life anymore.
Okay.
And unfortunately, apart from that, my grandfather passed away very early.
Okay. Okay. So he had to take the responsibility for your family.
Right.
Okay.
And then so my father accepted the new religion that came. And there was a tremendous change.
Okay. So is that change like in your village?
Yeah, there was a change. My father told me there was great change, and even the villages were divided into two groups also. Not sectarian enmity was there, but like the Christians and the non-Christians.
Okay.
Though they live in the though they live in the same village.
Okay. So tell me about your childhood.
That way I started. So then that were in the remote hills. So my father, after getting married, told my mother, if we continue to live in the hills, our children will not be able to have education.
So at that time there was no school in Churachandpur?
There was no school in the remote village in Churachandpur. My parents belonged to the deeper villages in Churachandpur.
What is the name of the village?
That is Lung Chuang. They call Lung, yes.
Okay.
And then there was only one school, missionary school in Churachandpur, Mission Compound Churachandpur.
Okay.
That's where my uncles were also, they got their first education. So my father told my mother, before we are born, that we need to go down to the hill, to the plains, where there's a school, closer to the school.
So, if I understand you correctly, at that time, of course now there are government school, but at that time there was absolutely no government school in the hills except for that mission school.
Yeah, Mission Rostad Memorial High School.
And that's why you say that because of the Christianity, there are changes, because education, you feel that education was brought and introduced in your village by them.
Definitely.
And they showed a different world which your village people have not seen.
No.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I am born in that mission compound, the place where the first missionary school was there.
Okay.
Rostad Memorial High School in Mission Compound. That is where I belong to. That is where that village I was born.
Okay.
And then that was the most prominent high school in the district.
Okay.
I was studying in that Rostad Memorial High School till class 5.
Okay.
That was since elevated place. Mission Compound is a beautiful place.
Okay.
And there are 3 main hostels. People from the hills used to come, and they used to be there in the 3 gentlemen hostels.
Okay.
And then there was a one woman girls hostel. And then it was a town, very different, a small village, very different, with all the facilities of medical. Before this, government has instituted that public health department has instituted village health center. Before that, there was a health center there in that village, and then a school and a big church. And the village was not headed by not the chief of the village, but headed by the superintendent of the mission compound.
Okay.
In a modern way.
Okay, got it.
So that was the beginning, and after that, we have shifted into the proper Churachandpur, and then I got my education from another school, that is Children Training High School. I completed my matriculation from that school, and at the time there was no higher secondary, class 11-12 system was not there.
Okay.
And then so
this was also a Christian school?
Yeah, that was a Christian school.
Okay.
Run efficiently according to the most likely like the convent school, but not religiously committed so much. But that was quite prominent.
Education.
Yeah, quite prominent in the town at the time.
So after your metric, you did all your education in Churachandpur. Then after that, what happened?
Yeah, well, that was also small struggle time of retrospection from my side also. All my friends, they went to other states, across the states. I mean, they crossed the boundary to get better education in the class 11, 12 level. Some went to, most of them went to Patkai Christian College, Nagaland, near Dimapur. Yeah,
Okay.
that was very, very prominent at the time, popular. And then the luckier ones, they could go to Shillong, and very few, very, very few could go to Delhi at that time. And I was left behind. I really realized that I need to study hard, and you know, I was really becoming more keen to study after my matriculation. Till high school, I was not very serious. I was I was so happy with my friends and my cousins, and we played football every afternoon, and all this. Those were the fun part that has consumed most of my life.
At
Thought
that
and
time.
mind at that time. But after matriculation, I want to study seriously. There was no proper college. There was Churachandpur Government High School giving us the only education after 10 in the district.
Okay.
And as you know, at the time, there were the infrastructure was okay, but I'm sorry to say, but many of them would admit also, the lecturers. There are only 10% were very regular,
So
and the rest were,
infrastructure is there, but the
yeah,
teachers were not there.
yeah. Only there are, but I don't want to, do away with that. Good ones. There are very few good lecturers
Okay.
who used to come regularly to take class. I was having great hunger. We kept on waiting. We kept on waiting for our class, even for 1-2 hours.
But the teacher didn't turn up.
Yeah, but the teachers didn't turn up.
So this is one of the issue I think people have spoken, but we want to re-emphasize again. So now that there was infrastructure in your village, there is the infrastructure,
Right.
there are teachers, but then you saw that the teachers, not all 100% of the teachers were not in attendance.
No,
And
no.
the student had to wait.
We had to wait, and sometimes
and so your
they won't
aspiration
turn
for
up.
education was not fulfilled.
Not fulfilled. And there was another small district library of a one room in this small room. I used to go there and spend my time there to read books, and I got myself acquainted with philosophy. That philosophy was not there in that Churachandpur Government High School.
Okay.
But then I was curiosity, so like that I could get any kind of book there, like I used to read there in the district library.
So you did not go out, your friends went out. Was that financial reason? Or
Yeah, definitely there was a financial reason. Though my elder brother has supported my father, though my elder brother got a job in the bank, but at the time, I have other siblings also.
How many siblings?
Like 3. We are 3 sisters and 3 brothers.
Okay, got it.
And so at the time I need to wait. But the beauty was that my parents and my elder brother, they could understand how much I was, enthusiastic
You had
about
the quest
reading
for
the quest, and
education.
they understood my feeling aspirations. So one fine day, my elder brother gave a word to my younger brother, and then I was there, and he told me to get ready for Delhi. Of course, it was after I completed my class 12.
Okay.
So suddenly, within a week or so, I got prepared, and then I came down
So
to Delhi.
you passed your class 12 in Churachandpur,
Yeah.
and then you came to Delhi.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
then-
yeah. That's the
okay.
progression.
All right. And
Yeah.
then how was your experience in Delhi?
Yeah, it was good, but very few Northeast people were there at
At
the
that
time.
time.
Yeah.
Which year was that?
Way back, 1988.
1988.
June,
Okay.
yeah, I
Okay,
reached
so
Delhi.
at that time, like there were not many Northeast or people from Manipur in Delhi.
No, not at all. And very few people have even telephone connection also. So we spend most of our time being lonely and being homesick.
Right.
Monica, finding the voices.
Finding the voices.
Finding the voice.
ꯃꯇꯝ ꯑꯃꯗ ꯑꯦꯌꯔꯐꯣꯔꯁꯀꯤ ꯁꯨꯠꯇ ꯏꯁꯤꯜꯂ ꯂꯩꯔꯝꯕꯗꯨꯗ ꯏꯃꯥꯗ ꯈꯔ ꯅꯨꯡꯉꯥꯏꯇꯖꯥꯠꯅꯤ.
I could see my father. who came to meet my headmaster because he was unable to pay the fee. I'm sorry.
Năm nay các lũ anh bột pipi đây. Anh thua được không? Because we need such story for people to have faith in the government and the system that yes, it's working. And
Let's bring peace in our home state,
People
Manipur.
who have got the job without bribery, they'll do justice to their job and they will help raise the standard of Manipur.
Me machine cray do. I adu paraga tingogi.
so how was your experience coming from Churachandpur to a big city like Delhi?
Yeah, it was good. It was a good. It was a big step, and the great leverage to my thinking, and then it was one way of fulfilling parts of my aspirations in life. So great experience, I should say.
So which college were you?
It is Zakir Hussain College.
Zakir Hussain. So at that time, now we see a lot of people talking or media portraying about racism to Northeast, but when you came, was there any, did you face anything?
No,
Or people accepted you and
yeah,
you were comfortable?
Perhaps I was lucky, or I don't know, that was a general feeling. People were very nice, even my class. And our friends were very congenial, across different, society, culture. People, we met there, and then they are very nice and very helpful to me. Even including the teachers.
Teachers, okay.
They are very kind.
Okay.
At the time. I believe they are now also.
No, they are now also. I think there are a lot of stories, but of course we all know that the media would pick up the controversial ones and good
of course.
Positive stories, will not make the news and it will not be highlighted.
Yeah,
but there are stories wherein people are coexisting and helping each other. And,
especially I need to be grateful to my classmates and my teachers.
Because coming from a far place, you being homesick, and that those times the communication was not as good as now. You still felt comfortable.
From that perspective.
Can you share about your progression in Delhi, from your studies to your job and career track?
At the time, of course, I don't know whether it'd be too personal. I was interested in philosophy, and then I studied, and of course I struggled, and I spent most of my time being homesick and thinking about home. That was my weakness, in that has affected my academic performance also, I believe. But by God's grace, I completed my philosophy honors, and the same year, the same month, I got my results. That very month, unfortunately, my mother passed away. So, in fact, I was studying hard to keep my parents happy. That was my first priority. But since my mother suddenly passed away in the same month, because we have very close attachment, of course, everyone will have that kind of attachment with their mother. But it was a big blow to me, and I gave up every ambitions, worldly, secular ambitions. I was shattered.
So it took a very big toll.
Toll
to yourself.
So I gave up all the ambitions and the aspirations I have for this civil services and other things. And then I just want to commit my life to serve the suffering, the suffering people, I thought. Because my mother or my father, my mother, they sacrificed a lot for my education, for me. But my mother suddenly, passed away. Because I didn't have that. That means I could not get time to repay her, to make her happy, and then half of my purpose of life was gone with that.
So you felt that she went before you could show her what you did, and you still had a lot of dreams and aspirations. And because she passed away, you were shattered, and you felt it was of no use.
I felt it was of no use, though my father was still there at the time. I felt that my father also would suddenly pass away, and then like that,
you felt
I felt that way, insecure. And then they have been struggling, like the pangs of poverty was really afflicting, tormenting the family. And then my parents especially, they suffered so much. I want to make them
that's okay.
happy, and then see the some good things in life. But my mother passed away too early at the time. That has changed my perspective. So I gave up my ambitions.
Then what did you do after graduation?
So I spent most of my time, 2 years in the remote missionary schools across the Assam Arunachal border.
Okay, so you left Delhi, and
I left Delhi.
You felt that you need to go back and connect with the people.
Connect with the people, or somehow recover, and then do things whatever I could with the small ability that I had at the time, potential, and then like that. Of course, I enrolled for MA, and then I was offered a hostel in the North Delhi also, but I could not take it because I was away at the time. And then without much preparation, I could not read this MA previous exams, because of the loss in the family, the loss of mother. I could not read, but somehow I used my previous knowledge where I was preparing for honors exams. I used it when somehow I could clear the MA previous, and I was enrolled in the second year. But ultimately, not only me, our family, we were all shattered because my mother was the center of the family who has pulled us together.
She was gelling all of you together, and suddenly when she's gone, you felt...
Yes. There was a kind of a chaotic situation emotionally in the family. My father, my elder brother, and all other siblings, we suffered. So it was difficult to stay in Delhi, to continue to stay in Delhi anymore. So I came back home during autumn break, and without completing my MA. And then things turned out that I serve in village schools.
So you became a teacher?
Yeah, I became a teacher, teaching the children in the school.
Then what happened?
Then, of course, my pastor wanted me to go to Chicago for seminary, biblical studies. And I was reluctant. I don't want to leave India. But since he gave me the opportunity, when I was in the school, he came over. He told me that he could send me to Chicago. Then I applied, and then I've cleared, to cut short. I have cleared the TOEFL test and all, and then I waited, but I was not very keen. So somehow I didn't go ultimately. And my elder brother advised me to get a job somehow again. So that I was not bothered about getting government jobs anymore. Somehow, fortunately, I saw some openings, vacancy in the going through employment news in the Parliament Secretariat. And at the time, it was a challenge also. When I saw it, there was only 3 days from the deadline. And then
you saw the ad like 3 days prior to the deadline.
Prior to the deadline, I worked fast, and then Fortunately, at that time, for a brief moment, there was a courier in Churachandpur that existed, for a brief moment, of perhaps 2-3 months only.
Okay.
Then I sent through that courier. Somehow it seems to reach the Lok Sabha Secretariat in time, and that was the month of February or March, and then surprisingly, out of the blue, call letter came in the month of December.
Okay.
I received it on Saturday, and then I was to give the exam on the next Sunday.
Okay, so it went pretty quick.
Yeah, pretty quick. I mean, there was a gap of February and then December, and then exams. There was a very close when the call letter reached me. Then I came down and I reached on Thursday, Delhi.
Okay.
And then my cousin is a scientist here. I put up with him. And Thursday I reached, that was Christmas Day also, 1997, December.
Okay.
And then Sunday I gave the exams.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't know, interestingly, the preliminary questions for executive assistants in the post at that time, it just incidentally happens to be most of the questions were known by me.
Okay,
I don't know.
So you had prepared. It means like
it just came that way. Yeah,
something.
Yeah, I don't know. That was divine or
So,
God's grace.
You got all the question which you knew.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay. And then you got the job.
I got the job, the prelims, and after that, a few days time, we were given to give the mains exam.
Okay.
I went there without, because I could not see the prelims result also.
Okay.
But within a short time, in those days, there was the practice that within a few days time, they used to give the mains, those who were selected in the prelims. So I went and I could not see the prelims results. The crowd was so big. But I just blindly went to the mains exam center. There was a great commotion. They stole away the notice board.
Oh,
and then,
okay.
of course, I knew that I was selected.
Okay.
I would be also, but they
So
postponed
you were
it, fortunately.
Confident that
Yeah,
you would be
at the
selected.
time, yeah, of course. And then they postponed the exam from that December. They deferred for the March. So I came back again to Delhi from Manipur, all the way from Manipur, and then March I gave the mains exam. And fortunately, my sister-in-law, my cousin's wife, is a MA Pol Science. I didn't have any book. I used some of her old books. I prepared for a few days for the mains, and by God's grace, I could clear it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is a new start of your
Yeah, new
life.
start. Yeah, but of course, I have lost how to be happy. When the result came out, I was not filled with joy or happiness, because there was, sadness, very chronic in my life. I didn't say I was depressed, but like that, even I have lost the art of being happy and being joyful without, of course, complaining.
Okay.
That much, like I became stony hearted, or I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
what it was,
Okay.
but that way. But that was a breakthrough.
Okay.
I didn't know that I'll be very happy at this stage with my family and all of you.
Finding the Voices talk show by Monica Igudam. I'm a huge fan of Finding the Voice.
You're doing a great job for Manipur.
Manipurbu prithivida masak takpa
Good positive voices, and make those voices more visible.
Wanted our voice to reach in all the corners of the world.
Interesting people.
In finding voices on
People from our own place.
Share positive stories and inspiring stories and bring all the good stories of Manipur.
Finding the Voices.
what has been your challenge
during especially during my final year, when I was doing my honors. There was a big challenge. In the sense, I went home in the month of October break, autumn break, we call it, autumn break. And then I spent time with my mother, my family. It was very nice. But I don't know, due to some enigmatic reasons, I could not come back in time after the autumn break.
Okay.
And it just happened. And at the time, I don't know what had happened. I could not recall properly, but I could not come back. October, November, December. My roommate also sent me letters. Those days there was no, the telephone, no mobile phone. Later I received letters and like that. And finally I could come back at the end of January last week. And one of the reasons was, I think, financial reason also, plus some other reasons. I could not recall what was the main. Anyway, there I came back, and my teachers all of them who were so nice to me, and they somehow, though I was not very brilliant, they were very happy with my academic enthusiasm. And then he told me, especially one professor, Professor Ansari sir, he told me, this year is your final year, and you have missed so many classes, especially logic in philosophy. If you miss some, then it is difficult to catch up again, right? He told me, you rest this year instead of getting a bad result. You have to drop 1 year. You give the exam next year. That Ansari sir was one of the best logic teacher in India. He got an award also. He was a Cambridge educated. He used that smoke pipe and all this old-fashioned. And his English was very, very nice. His voice was very small, low, due to old age. His retirement has been extended because of his quality of teaching and all this. And then that was a challenge. And another thing was, I came short of attendance.
So you dropped 1 year.
But if I drop 1 year, I'll be wasting my parents' money for another year. That was the big dilemma. But I decided. I chose a person from the Bible. Can I read?
Yeah, sure.
Philippines. There, I read Vincent Peale, Positive Thinking also, and then he gave me this Bible verse. Of course, I didn't prepare for this, but it became handy. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And I really believe in that. And so I pasted that one on the study wall. And my roommates, because of these exam tensions, some of them, they will just lie down. Unable to cope with that, concentrate anymore because of the tension and the challenges. But I use this Bible verse, Philippians chapter 4 verse 13. I can do all things through him who gives me strength. But in some other versions, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
So you wrote this.
I wrote this. I look and I.
So you got your strength.
I got my strength. I kept on studying, and that gave me strength. And by God's grace, without any setback, I could clear the philosophy honors exam, final exam that year.
So you did not drop the year.
I did not drop the year.
And then you didn't want to drop your year even after your professor had suggested that you may not be able to clear. But you were thinking at the back of your mind about your parents struggling to send money to Delhi for the education.
Exactly.
So this verse which you read was the strength for you, and it drove you to study and concentrate and keep on going without giving up.
Yes. This gives me, enables me to do the impossible. And then to illustrate my challenge, I drew a cartoon, sort of illustration. It was big rock, huge rock, a small man trying to move the rock. And I use this Bible verse. And I used it every evening, every night. I kept reading, and I think I was able to push that big rock through the Bible verse.
Yeah, no, because it's very interesting to know what drives people to not to give up, because this is one of the things which is very important for young people. And when we grow up, we always have aspiration of something which drives us to never give up.
Right, ma'am, exactly.
Just going back, tracking back to your family, you shared very closely about your parents and the struggle. If you can share a little bit about the kind of struggle which the outside world may not have a window to, if you can share some of the struggle back in your native hometown.
Yes, ma'am. My parents, they want me, us, to get a good education. The missionary schools, as many schools are out, has grown, has come of age, and the quality education and the new syllabus and all this. That missionary school, the first missionary schools, which once was one of the best in the district, could not retain its position anymore. So they shifted me, my parents, an elder brother including, they shifted me to another school in the main town. That is Children Training High School. And then at the time our headmaster was a very dynamic man, Pu Rom Hing Liana, K Rom Hing Liana, and the school was very popular. But the tuition fees were higher. And then my father at the time was working in the church organization as office attendant, and then his earning was very small. And at the time my brother was not yet in the bank. He was teaching in the missionary school. So the income is very less. And then we, from two sisters and another brother of mine, 4 of us were put in that school. And then our tuition fees and my parents' income was just like there was no plus minus, income equal to expenditure sort of, and there is no money left for other expenses. So my mother had to work on the field to generate income.
She was doing farming.
And then like that. And at the time, those children who could not pay tuition fees, we used to have weekly tests, monthly tests, and so many tests were there in the school. And then, like, if were unable to pay the fees, we will not be allowed to sit the exams. Those things always came. But the headmaster was very nice. If ultimately you're unable to pay, you call your parents. So that is another means, no? That is a way of him helping our parents also. So from my classroom, I could see my father. Who came to meet my headmaster because he was unable to pay the fees. I'm sorry. That vision is still there. So that is how we struggle. And then mission compound was 9 kilometers away from the main Churachandpur. And at the time, since we were in the rented house, at the time we didn't have our own house in the main town, Churachandpur.
But your parents had got all of you there
to
seek for education.
So, and in 1979, there was a big drought. And then for many days, no rain. My mother would carry water for us 9 kilometers away on our back. And like that, they don't mind. There was no proper transport system at the time. They cared for us so much. I think I'll be unable to narrate every situation here. So,
but that is the kind of struggle which you have seen, and that's why when your mother passed, you felt that you could not, you were still studying and you wanted her to see you grow and have a job and give you an opportunity to serve them back.
Right. Sorry. So we struggle a lot, but at the time, though, there was, we are financially very poor. Emotionally, we are very rich.
Very strong.
Very strong. Love
Because
was abundant.
Right. Whatever the situation, coming from such a remote background area.
Right. Yes.
We have the strength to fight and progress.
Thank you for helping me to express myself. In spite of that, we never felt being inferior, or we didn't develop any complex, because their love was so abundant. And my father taught me how to dream. He taught me how to have ambition. And then, these problems, sufferings, and setbacks never really stood on the way to, achieving what we wanted to.
Monica, finding the voices.
Finding the voices.
Finding the voice.
Air Force
I could see my father. Who came to meet my headmaster because he was unable to pay the fee. I'm sorry.
Because we need such story for people to have faith in the government, in the system, that yes, it's working.
Let's bring peace in our home state,
People
Manipur.
who have got the job without bribery, they'll do justice to their job, and they will help raise the standard of Manipur.
Me machine kre hai do ai adu paraga tingau gi
Thank you for sharing your story, particularly emphasizing on the fact that despite our background, wherever we are, we are standing with our own feet, with pride and dignity and respect for our origin. And this is something I really want to convey to our young listeners, because sometimes I have interacted with students where they feel a little shy or embarrassed telling how hard their parents work, the background, like in terms of farming or cultivator, because I feel that it is their hard work, their belief in us, in their quest for education, that we are able to stand independently. So thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak about my parents and my life and God's grace. Can I share one more?
Yes, sure.
See, like one television prominent personalities will interview Oprah Winfrey on the TV when she visited India. Though I am not great like Oprah Winfrey, but then I could relate to one of her statements. She said that I have a relationship with someone who is bigger That was the that makes her, able to overcome the problems, the challenges in her life. So something like that. When she stated that one, it reminds me of my small life as well. Someone bigger, someone who could could oversee everything about my life, my parents' life, my grandparents' life, my background, and my future, gave me the strength. Of course, there were times when we thought that everything is going to be, over. And then, like a stream rolling down from the hills, and then the stream, the water, just vanished, unable to continue to flow, but the water reappears out somewhere down in the below, right? Like that. There were many occasions where God was very much involved prominently when we thought everything was over, personally in my life or family life, in terms of my education, in terms of my career, or things like that. We thought, and even the people around us also thought that way, but water reappears somewhere down, so I praise God for that. Now
so it's
God,
your faith in God that gives you moving forward.
Right. In fact, my father, after he became Christian, he was very enthusiastic about the Bible, and at a small age, he inculcated in us how to have faith in God, and he was an avid reader of the Bible. He was almost like Abraham Lincoln. My father was denied of formal education, but he read the Bible thoroughly, and without consulting the Bible like a bedtime story, he would tell us, share the stories, and after I have grown, I was able to read. When I read, my father narrated the Bible stories very, very accurately. So the man who was deprived of formal education have been educated by the Bible. So I appreciate that one.
Right.
And my mother was, my father taught me how to dream big, in spite of what we are. My mother taught us how to maintain honesty, integrity, and the beauty of love and care, which, I could not fully explain here. So my parents were a good combination, and then they make us what we are, what I am now.
Right.
I'm grateful to them.
Right.
Thank you very much.
So education is a big gift from your parents to you.
Right.
So before we end, one of the quests I have in inviting you, and also I wanted to expand my show to all the different ethnic groups in Manipur, and of course to the rest of the world as my show is growing. A lot of the media does portray about a divide between the hill and valley, but I see a lot of love amongst us, and just wanted you to share a little bit about your view on that.
This is a big mistake, where that divide, the hill and the plain divide, has been magnified out of proportion. This is the crucial moment at this juncture. Instead of that divide theory, we must unite much more, so that we can compete with Southeast Asia, so that we can compete with the rest of India. Manipur is a beautiful place. And from the window of the plane, if you look down, God has not divided the hill and the plain. God has created beautifully, right? And the people, we should mingle more. Especially the right-thinking people, we should mingle more and unite. Unity and peace is needed for development, for economic activity, for good education.
Right, and also,
so this is not the time to divide, ma'am. It's time to look for unity and bridging up gaps.
Yeah, but I do see there is a lot of unity and love.
Yeah.
I think that it's just that people are not focused on stories, and hence my invitation to you to show your story and positivity for the people of Manipur, and also spreading it across, nationally and internationally.
Yeah, definitely, ma'am.
Right. So is there any message you would like to share, especially for the young listeners we have in our show?
yeah, for 7 years after my graduation, I was in Arunachal Pradesh, and then for 2 years, then I came back to Churachandpur, Manipur, and then I was in a corner of Churachandpur where there was ethnic trouble. But at the time, I want to keep my mind pure. I want to focus on progress. I want to see, you know, like bigger things, the bigger things, like I thought. So what I did, by God's grace, was I kept on reading, not the daily papers where, you know, killings and this and that are reported. So instead, I read magazines from Delhi and news from Delhi. Outside. What we read, you know, is, you know, has an effect on our mind and thoughts and perspective and the scope, right? Had I not been doing that for many years, I would not get the job I got here in Parliament also. And I'll be embroiled in one of the small petty fightings also.
So you broadened your
yeah, I
outlook
broadened
and
my
broadened your
outlook.
mind.
Yeah, in spite of the heavy, I mean, a great turmoil happening there, I was looking, trying, groping for good magazines, good books. Plus, I never left my Bible. There are so many politics of killings and, you know, like this and that. But where I used to refer as one of the leader of my community here in Delhi. People, there are times I need to take decision also, but I always consulted the Bible on the basis, you know, I'm revealing what my secret, you know, now. The Bible has never recommended killing others. Do good to others. Overcome evil with good. You know, these are not only meant for the pastors and the people in the church. These are meant for everyone, even the political leaders, the social leaders, student leaders also. I think if we adopt this, you know, the goodness, and then the discernment will come and progress can come if God is happy with us only. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. That's good. Once again, that is the message which I would like to give to the younger generations. Our state, beautiful state, Manipur, might be very troubled outside. As a student, as a young man, as a young girl, as a young boy, read good books, read bigger books. Don't depend so much on the local papers reports about killings and hatred and the press release.
Like widen your mind,
widen your view. Don't try to compete with your neighbors who is next to you. Compete with the world, or try to catch up with the world.
That's an excellent message. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So to end our interview, I don't know how much you know about Finding the Voices, but Finding the Voices, as you know, I'm actually professionally, I'm in the IT field. I have nothing to do with broadcasting, but I felt the need that we need to share more positive story, and that is why we started Finding the Voices. And also another aspect was for our own people to see the different career perspective and different people all over the world who have gone out of Manipur or in Manipur, because we really don't know who is who in Manipur. And the other perspective is for the rest of the world to see a window of Manipur with positivity, and not the other window where the media is doing a great job of covering the conflict and other things. So just wanted to get feedback, advice, or any comments about our show.
This is wonderful. I mean to say, I don't want to flatter, but I'm sincere, genuine. I appreciate this good platform, Finding the Voice, and I am happy that I'm part of the Voice now. I wish, you know, the Voice to grow and to expand more in the years to come, and to reach out to the lonely students, and I'm bringing them up, younger generations, to the greater world, and to play in the greater arena of life, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you very
for
much.
Sharing your story.
Please do Finding the Voices.